Well, Harford County, and I know a lot of local areas say this, but I always start off by telling people, although the Conowingo Dam has been in the news recently, that we are on the Susquehanna River at the top of the bay, and we have a waterfront that really encompasses most of Aberdeen Proving Ground, which is one of the largest estuaries in the state of Maryland, and most of the proving ground is built in wetlands and wet water in the southern part of the county. But we just celebrated 100 years with Aberdeen Proving Ground, and we still talk about it being as an anchor, really a historical anchor for the modern Harford County, 100 years. But then like the rest of the state, we have an agricultural part of the county. The northern end has remained agricultural. We've got about 50,000 acres in preservation. And then you come to the center of the county, Bel Air, the county seat, and you'll begin to see the residential development that happened in the 1990s, and when we were multiplying a new school each year. During those early 1990 through probably about 98. There was a time when most of the county was in the first district, and then when Paris Glendenning came in I think in his first term, when he did his first redistricting, is where we first saw the county begin to be cut up, originally partly into the second district. Then it's progressed to 3 districts now. I think as the federal redistricting and the advent of computer programs that designate and kind of can calculate whether the electability of a Republican or a Democrat in these federal districts, you've seen the districts carved more to a preciseness, so they perform like they're supposed to perform. Our districts and the citizens are better served when these districts, I think, are the way they originally were intended to be: compact, respect for geography, respect for the jurisdictions, and I think that way the representatives are closer to the people they serve, and now it's kind of gotten away from that at the federal and local level. I still support in district that all of a county's representation should be within their district and not have these lines run over 2 and 3 counties. Over the years, I've been endorsed by the Maryland State Teachers, always been pro-education. Probably the first Republican that the local union endorsed 30 years ago, and they've been with me, and even today still endorse my efforts for the county school system. But the county has always had a long record of preserving ag land. We have the Deer Creek watershed and have about 50,000 acres preserved in our northern end. And it's part of our toolbox. I mean, we have our economic development in Bel Air, the Aberdeen Proving Ground, but part of my goal is to keep that ag heritage alive in the county, and to me the only way you do that is preserve it in perpetuity.
Yeah.
Listen, and I know it's folks like to pinhole you sometimes, but to a lot of degree I'm a traditional Republican. Now, I'm not the traditional Republican probably of the new age. I may be more I'm probably the older age Republican stuck in the days of Ronald Reagan, where you work things out and you tried to move the ball forward. You didn't always get everything you wanted, but you very rarely called someone name or posted something negative about them. You just kind of work things out in a more gentlemanly fashion. But traditional Republicans, we've never been for tariffs or trade wars. I mean, we've been a free market. Open markets will help everyone, and I'm pretty much a traditional there. And I think there are still some folks left in Congress that way, but I just think that these tariffs are not going to really help anyone at the end of the day, and probably cost American jobs, and consumers are going to pay more for products.
Yeah.
Well, we are in strange times, so I think any time, and I say this, I support the governor, and I'm kind of cut from the mold of the governor, and I think he's done a great job for Maryland. But I do think we are in such times, and the governor, that's why the governor's fundraise has probably put together one of the best teams to go forward. Even when some folks think he's in good shape and he shows being the second most popular governor in the country, I think the times in the state make it where upsets can happen. You just don't know. The first district, I think, is tougher because it is designed to perform a certain way, and everything I've seen, these districts usually, that they do this because they've really got it honed down and precise, so they do perform. Things can go out of kilter, but I would think any opponent, and Jesse, it still takes a lot of money, a lot of organization, in addition to the luck and something happening in the time. So I think it's a tough climb. And even in the state of Maryland, for a Republican governor who's done a great job, in my opinion, and has worked across the aisle and so forth, in a 2-to-1 state, he's still really got to work hard and get his message out, because, you know, the state is 2-to-1, and sometimes statistical numbers can make it happen. It's just, it's unfortunate. We've seen it before. And I always remind people too that most families want their children to go to a good school system. You know, they want to be safe. They want decent jobs. They want to be able to prosper. So I think we all share that. Now, we've gotten away from that because they want to divide us into either the R team or the D team. Yeah. But in essence, we all have those common interests, and I think that's where the federal government and our Congress folks, they need to start thinking that way. They're thinking, you know, their own teams, and they've got to find solutions that work for everyone. And there are some issues that are so divisive, it's tough, but fundamentally, you know, on raising a family, being able to buy a house, send your kids to good schools, be safe, we should be able to find solutions and work together on those things.